So clearly, we are not talking enough about how people are leaving medicine.
Guys, your favorite ranting dentist is back. And what I've come on here to say isn't easy for me, so if I even cry, I'm sorry. But guys, this was the end of the road for me. I put my office up for sale. I am not doing this anymore.
Forever. Just graduated residency and I'm quitting medicine.
More than silent quitting. Have you guys heard about this? It's been in the news and been all over the media, but it's this idea where people are not going to go above and beyond in their jobs anymore and are just going to do what's bare minimum required to get to the day. The idea has been getting a lot of criticism in the media, accusing people of being lazy and not having the work ethic.
So the girl in that video actually quit medical school after 3 years.
All right, there's a topic we really got to talk about. Doctors are quitting. They're just fed up between dealing with insurance companies, dealing with the bureaucracy of hospitals, and then just how long it takes and the stress it takes to become a doctor. Let's talk about this. Some great videos out there.
So clearly, we are not talking enough about how people are leaving medicine because the internet is in a uproar about a couple med influencers who are quitting medicine. This is not new. I graduated medical school over 10 years ago, and a couple of my classmates did not go on into residency. And even those who did, a bunch of them no longer practice today. Why do you think we talk so much about physician burnout, how terrible the US healthcare system is, insurance companies, reimbursement cuts, educational debt, how awful the culture of medicine is, especially if you are a female with a family? And let's not even get started with the science misinformation all through COVID, and now with these abortion laws that are trying to put doctors in jail. And I get it. It is shocking and disappointing that these young doctors are not going to continue on and practice medicine. But instead of shaming them or calling them selfish, maybe we need to figure out ways to support them better so they don't feel like they have to give up to have a normal, healthy, fulfilled life. So clearly, we are...
So I want to know your thoughts. Comment down below. If you are a doctor, comment down below. I've got quite a few friends that are like, I would have never done this if I knew it was going to be like this. Every time they make a call, it gets shortcutted by the insurance company. Or they spend more time on the phone with the insurance company than they do with their patients. Not to mention how hard medical school is to pay for. Student loans, just eating people up. And some people not even breaking even with their loans until they're in their 40s. And then how much time can you practice if it takes you to your 30s, mid-30s to get going as a doctor? You're constantly having to keep up with ongoing education. It's wild. Family physician here. I'm debating leaving medicine too. This is mentally exhausting and not fulfilling anymore. Look, it's right here. As soon as my loans are paid off, I'm leaving medicine as well. That's 3 people, 3 doctors right there that are out of the system. They're just done with it. When my dad was sick, and I was roaming the halls at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a doctor roaming the halls there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, how do you do this, man? I can't even think right now. It's so early. How do you do this all night, every night? The stress of both. Having to be a doctor and then the lifestyle, the hours. It's got to be hard.
Guys, your favorite ranting dentist is back. And what I've come on here to say isn't easy for me, so if I even cry, I'm sorry. But guys, this was the end of the road for me. I put my office up for sale. I am not doing this anymore. I came on here all smiles and stuff this morning, things break and stuff, and you get through it. Someone just wrote a 2-star review about me and said that I'm a nice person, but does not return the mother's phone calls after she worked on her and is quick to refer out issues that a general dentist should be able to confidently address. Quick turnaround, and refers out dismisses when things get challenging, which is really funny because first off, I'm not allowed to respond to this because it's HIPAA, so I can't even defend myself on here. This person left a message Thursday night. My office is closed on Thursdays. And before I left Wednesday night, I put a voicemail up saying I wasn't going to be in the office Friday. I was not here. And it says if it's an emergency, you call my cell phone. This person left a message Thursday night. Obviously, office is closed. I could not call you back. Office was closed Friday, and I was not here over the weekend. So this morning, when I'm short-staffed, you're going to leave a 2-star review because I didn't call your mother back right away and say that I worked on your mom and I didn't. You want the records? Last time I saw your mother was in February. And you want to say I didn't do things in my scope? I've taken out teeth on your mom. I've done root canals. But yet I'm just a shitty general dentist, right, who just refers things and can't take complicated things. This is the part that...
What do you think about that? I tell you, The review thing on Google is wild. Like, one reason why I don't do them with my business is because the people on YouTube will spam the reviews, and there's no way you can get all. Like, you've never met this person in your entire life. They leave a review, and you have to fight to get the review off there. Never met them, never heard from them, and some troll on the internet wants to try to ruin your business, and you spend thousands of dollars and years growing a business. In her case, you've got all this education before you can even start, millions of dollars in debt on the business, and somebody can leave a review that you've never even met and ruin your business. Because we're so into reviews now. Like, what do you think? Like, how do you solve this? I feel so bad for her. And in her situation, there was nothing she could have done. And a lot of times, people can be spiteful. People can be really mean. And you pour your heart and soul into something, and there's nothing you can do about it. With HIPAA, like, how do you even talk about whether it's right or not? Or you've even heard of this person? Because everything you say will be held against you.
Pisses me off. You're allowed to write a review on my business, on my livelihood, and you're not even talking real. Like, you're lying. And they're allowed to write that on my livelihood. After I bust my ass to help people and bend over fucking backwards, I don't even get paid half the time. This was it for me, you guys. I put my office up for sale, and I am done. I am done getting beat on about people's insurance. I am done for not doing everything perfectly. It clearly said if it was an emergency, like, I put my cell phone on there. You could have called my cell phone. And guess what? I know it worked because some asshole called me on Saturday to talk about their insurance when it clearly says only to call for emergencies. I have had it. I am done. I am so far done. It is well past done. When you can't find trustworthy dentists in the future or people who care, this is why. Because the rest of us got berated to shit and we're out. I'm done. I am done.
It hurts my heart to hear this stuff, but I tell you, AI is coming. It's coming, and I'm so interested to see how it'll alleviate some of the stress from some of these doctors, as well as how will it compete with some of these doctors. I've been playing with Grok 4 all day today. Insane what Grok can do, okay? And then you throw ChatGPT 5 out there now. Between, if it has any type of data storing, collecting, spitting back out, even, heck, you can even talk to it. I've been talking to it all day, and like, it just responds. You can even have it with a comedian or a warm, heartfelt person. You can be sarcastic. It can do all kinds of things, and I'm wondering how it's going to fill in the gap with some of the physicians. And it's sad that it's come to this. That this one, the system has made it to where they don't want to be a part of it anymore. Two, it's too expensive, and the lifestyle is burning people out. We had the bureaucracy of the you-know-what couple years ago where we knew what they were saying was completely fake, and they went against doctors with medical degrees, and then the Facebook fact checkers were the ones saying that doctors were wrong. Pure insane.
Forever. Just graduated residency and I'm quitting medicine, at least for now. I've gotten such mixed reactions about this. Some people hate the idea. They think it's ridiculous to take any time for yourself because in this field, you're taught to give everything when you're in training. So work becomes your whole life. The medical field attracts a lot of overachievers, also a lot of ego. I'm honestly just burned out by the politics of a system that rewards cutthroat ego more than it rewards honest hard work. And yes, I know it's better as an attending, but I've gone straight from grade school to university to med school to internship to residency. I've literally never taken a break. And this is my final chance. I know that not everyone has the opportunity to take time off like this. It is a tremendous privilege that I do not take for granted. I love dermatology and taking care of my patients, so this is probably not forever, but for the foreseeable future, I'll be getting to know the world as just a human. Getting to know myself outside of the system and who I am outside of my career, seeking out joy in whatever form it may take. It's a little spicy. Taking it slow and just enjoying the company of my loved ones. There are some pretty epic plans coming up, and I cannot wait.
I am convinced at this point that our healthcare system is set up in such a way to just be frustrating for patients and providers, and to ensure that it is as difficult as possible to provide medical care.
I have a new denial from one of my patients' insurance regarding a medicine that I prescribed, and it just says the second preferred agent is there's no evidence of treatment failure, intolerance, or contraindication to this other agent. I went to medical school and residency and fellowship, and I learned about these medicines, and I frankly feel like I know what I'm talking about, and it frustrates the absolute hell out of me that an insurance company gets to dictate what is or isn't okay for my patient, and that this is legal. To me, this is the practice of medicine that they are doing. So that's all I want to say.
I've always thought that was wild. And another thing I think is wild is when a kid is sick or a person is sick and poison's involved, and you call poison control, and you're like, you go to the hospital because your kid's sick or you're sick, and you're like, what do we do? And they're like, we've got to call poison control. I'm like, but I could have called poison control from the house. And they're like, yeah, we're going to call the same poison control. And I'm like, the person I talked to had no idea what's going on. So the doctor and the hospital is going to call poison control, a state-run facility. I think it's state-run. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. And they're going to tell me whether this works or not. So like one day, my buddy is a veterinarian, a doctorate in veterinarian. He is a surgeon of animals, and we were wondering about rat poison. I was like, what do you think about this? Will it hurt, this, and this? And he's like, most certainly will. We were talking about, will it go into plants, like with your tomato plants? We called poison control. They had no idea what was going on, and they were arguing with him about the pharmacy behind the product that we were talking about. He had no idea what's going on. But yet they can tell a doctor what to do, I guess, and then an insurance company can tell a doctor what to do. Like, no, you're going to do this instead of that, but they're not actually seeing the person. Wild. What do you think? Comments down below.
More than silent quitting. Have you guys heard about this? It's been in the news and been all over the media, but it's this idea where people are not going to go above and beyond in their jobs anymore and are just going to do what's bare minimum required to get to the day. The idea has been getting a lot of criticism in the media, accusing people of being lazy and not having good work ethic. Now, let me tell you, as a primary care physician, people's jobs are literally killing them. Let me ask you some questions. How does your job treat you when you need time off? How many of you need to use your vacation time to do very basic things to take care of yourself, like go to doctor's appointments, take your children to doctor's appointments? How many of you work more than 40 hours a week? How many of you don't have a window in your office? These things I mentioned are virtually unheard of in other countries where they have a better work-life balance and they have better physical and mental health. It's like deeply embedded in American culture to just work yourself to death. And then to add insult to injury, guess who's responsible for your crappy health insurance policy? Your employer. So your employer controls the majority of your time in your life. And then when you get sick and you get denied coverage and the runaround and thrown into the system, that's your employer who chose that policy for you. There have been countless times where I've really wanted patients to do some physical therapy, maybe go to some health classes, but they can't. They literally cannot get time off work. So if you're in a job where there's no room for advancement, where hard work is punished with more work, then you know what? Do what you're paid for. Don't sacrifice your physical and mental health for a job like that. Personally, I got so sick of that type of job that's why I went back to school, and I'm not in a job anymore. I'm in a profession that's different. But that's just my story. Everybody's different. College isn't for everybody. But the point is, I don't think it's worth it to sacrifice your mental and physical health anymore for a job that doesn't take care of you when you need it most. Just my 2 cents.
Oh, for sure. I see this happening. I see it happening everywhere, especially with the government. Especially anything to do with the government, people are on autopilot. And then I'm seeing it with nurses, hospitals. I'm seeing it with anything to do with banks, or anything like that. Things that are high pressure society, they're just like, you know what? I'm going to go to point A to point B, and that's it. What kind of world is that to work in? That you hate it so much that you're just a drone. I would quit. I would live in a shoebox and be a waitress on the beach before I did that, or a waiter on the beach before I did that. I just wouldn't do it. And I think that's what's happening. Silent quitting. Pretty soon they just walk on out. And that's the thing I've always been talking about. If you don't have debt, you don't have any of these things keeping you on the hamster wheel, and you can just walk off, emergency fund, things like that, you can leave. You can get out of this and go do something else. But if you have debt, you're slave to the lender, you're slave to the machine, and you can't get out of there. You got to make sure you're not doing this consumer debt. Credit cards, bank notes, car loans, complete slave to your job. Can't do it. But if you're making a lot of money, you can quit anytime you want to if you don't have this debt.
So the girl in that video actually quit medical school after 3 years. And as a doctor, I can tell you flat out, medical school was one of the hardest things I had to do. See, college wasn't as hard as medical school, not by a long shot. Medical school was extremely difficult. And full disclosure, during medical school, I actually suffered from major depression. I was completely depressed for maybe half of my medical school career. It was tough being at home all the time, studying nonstop, not being able to do anything without, much reward right off the bat, and not being able to do what I've been wanting to do for years, which is take care of patients. It was exhausting emotionally and physically. So I don't blame her for leaving medicine. In fact, I applaud her for having the courage to do so, because this is a tough job. And if you don't love what you do, there's no point in doing this job. I'm going to be flat out honest. Because of how taxing it is, of how exhausting it is, and how the work never ends, you always have to keep learning. You have to love medicine in order to go into it. That's a simple fact. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out, and nobody wants a burnt out doctor. Not the patient, not the doctors, not the healthcare system. We don't want that. Now, leaving medicine can be one of the hardest things for us to do, especially after you've worked so hard to get into medical school, especially after you've worked so hard while you're in medical school. That's extremely difficult. But the fact that this individual had the courage to do so and knew that not being in medicine was the right move for her is something that I have to applaud at the end of the day, because that takes true courage. So I wish her the best.
I saw this when little Jack was born. The doctor that birthed little Jack, she was amazing. She was there at 3 a.m. and was waiting on that baby at 6, 7 a.m., daylight. And she was right there in the fight with us, and it was wild, and it was, I don't know what we'd have done without her. And she looked like she enjoyed it, and she was great at it. But the stress and having to be on call all the time when these babies are coming, that is a high stress environment. And you think about that with heart doctors and people that are on call for cancer and all these, it is really hard to watch people pass, okay? It's one thing, it'll make you a spiritual person, it'll change the way you look at the world, is watching people pass away. And these doctors see it on an ongoing basis. And I think my cup would fill up very fast. I'd give it to them. I don't know if I could do that.
So this is why your doctor is about to quit. Back in the 80s, you can see that most doctors were self-employed, almost 20%. See? And now, in the 2020s, we're up to 60 to almost 80% of physicians employed by the hospital or corporate system. Next, everyone's favorite is insurance denials, an inhibition to make payments for the work done. So you can see there was almost nothing tracked back in the 80s, almost zero denials, even though there were, and now up to almost, look right here, almost 20%, 1 in 5 claims are denied nowadays. This is another thing that's crazy. Even physicians who actually get claims approved, a lot of those claims that are approved, almost up to 10% at times are unpaid, even if they're owed the payment. Next is malpractice. Malpractice has gone up significantly in the last several decades. Almost up to 700 suits. Good news, of the last decade it dropped a little bit. But the ability to practice medicine without fear of litigation has also gone down.
The cost to run a professional business now is insane. Insurance for real estate agents is crazy. Malpractice insurance for lawyers and doctors is nuts. I've got friends that are doctors, and somebody's always trying to sue them. Always. And lawyers will take those cases to the point where if you're trying to run a practice and you're worried about being sued every 10 minutes, I don't know if I could do it. Every back you crack or every stitch you turn, somebody is trying to get you. And the cost of running the business is astronomical. It's already expensive to start a medical practice or start a dentistry and have all the tools and the equipment, and they expect you to, and then you got to fight to get paid. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of these doctors never collect. And it can put a practice under. That's why a lot of them have to go work for hospitals. And then the billing at hospitals is crazy. Between the insurance companies, people's not paying, and then people being overbilled. It's a mess. It's a mess. I want to know what you think. Comments down below. Am I right? Am I wrong? I want to hear it. We got to have some discourse in the comments down below.
Fear is higher. Ooh. And our malpractice premiums have also increased precipitously as well. So what does all this mean? Well, practicing medicine comes with inherent stress, right? Life and death. There's a lot to learn, a lot to study. It takes a lot of hours. Patients are going through difficult situations, right? That is all part of, nothing's new there, right? That's the cost of practicing, right? But there's also a lot of value we get. We get to connect with patients in their most valuable moments. They come to us when they need like a learned friend or a trusted resource so we can help them in their desperate times. We can cure and help cure disease. We can provide care. We can comfort. There's a great lifestyle that comes with it. There's a good earning potential that comes with it, right? All of these things have always been the trade-offs, right? All of the value matches the stress. Because I'm going to make the argument that has really not that much to do with reimbursement or payment, even though it does have to do with being able to like pay staff, et cetera, cover your expenses. But what's gone down is right here. It is autonomy. Because the gap between the value derived from practicing medicine and the stress that it causes is covered by autonomy, right? We're willing to step in the gap. We're willing to do the things we need to do when we have the autonomy to make the decisions to do those things. But look, over the last several decades, when our autonomy gap was only a 3 minimally, but then we had managed care come in the 90s, and then EHR came along in the payer rules, and EHR, the rules that we have to follow to maintain the guidelines of this has only increased our burden and decreased our autonomy. And now burnout is almost at 63%. Because the autonomy that we have to practice medicine is so low. So forget burnout. It's not having any control or autonomy. That's the problem. That's why your physician's going to quit.
All right, well, that's all I got on that. It's a very interesting topic. So many things that need to be fixed. I don't know the future of it. I'm wondering if AI is going to fill the gaps on some of this. Will we have a new type of physician system that will lean on the AI and is less education? Because at some point, humans are at their breaking capacity of between having a psychological episode from working all these hours, not sleeping, and then the stress. The amount of education you got to have to learn these new techniques like neurosurgery and all the things internal doctors have to learn. You're 40 before you start practicing. Will AI speed that up? Will they just go to school to learn how to use the AI? Like, you know, I think of like radiologists and x-ray techs and things like that where they're going to just learn how to use the machine. And then reading imagery is, I feel like, going to be totally AI. Comment down below. What do you think? I thought this was a very interesting topic. On to the next one. I like going down these rabbit holes. They're really cool to think about what is the future of everything. And if you're a medical student out there, I want to hear from you because where is this industry going? I'll see you guys later.